All right, so now that we've identified parts of an equation with the constant and the coefficient, we're going to kind of get into solving it. And how you solve equations, we'll formalize this in a few days, is you do the opposite operation or the inverse operation. So if that word inverse is kind of confusing to you, you can just write opposite. Okay? So whatever you see to solve an equation, to undo that, you're going to do the opposite thing of whatever you see. Okay? And then also, if you need to write it down, I would write this down so I don't forget. Here's our opposites. Adding and subtracting are opposites. If it helps you, you can put plus and minus are opposites. And then multiplying and dividing are inverses of each other, or opposites. So the inverse of adding is subtracting. The inverse of subtracting is adding. If you want to undo multiplying, you're going to divide. If you want to undo division, you're going to multiply. So I'm going to do this first page with you, and then you have a bunch to do on your own, and I know it's a lot. Okay, but we're really focusing on breaking those down because we're going to add some more layers again. So we're just doing like one little layer right now. So we're making sure that we're really solid on this layer before we add one more thing. So we're getting all of that good practice in, right? That's how you get better at math, is you just have to do the practice problems. Okay. So x minus 5 equals 9.5. What operation do you see? You're focusing on what's happening to the variable. So I'm taking the variable x minus 5. And we're still going to circle the constant. And box the coefficient. Okay. So minus 5 is my number on its own with the variable. So minus 5 is my constant. And a positive 1 is my coefficient. That's what's multiplying my letter, my variable. Okay. So it's saying the operation I see is that I'm subtracting 5. So I see subtraction. The inverse operation of subtraction is adding. So to undo that, I'm just going to add whatever I'm subtracting. So I'm going to rewrite the equation. 1x minus 5 equals 9.5. I draw a line through my equal sign. The opposite of subtracting is adding. So instead of subtracting 5, I'm going to add 5. And I draw a line underneath. Okay. So since these are inverses, they cancel each other out. I'm left with 1x equals 9.5 plus 5, even though I didn't line them up well. I forgot my real calculator, so I gotta use my phone, but you use a real calculator. Is 14.5. Okay. And I guess I also want you to make a note that your goal of solving equations is to get the variable by itself. So I'm always looking for 1x or 1y or 1 of whatever my variable is. Okay? All right, so y plus 10 equals 10. I'm going to circle my constant, including the sign, plus 10. I'm going to box my coefficient. It's a positive 1. Okay. I'm going to look at what's happening to my variable. I'm adding 10 to my variable. So the operation I see is that I'm adding. The inverse of adding is subtracting. That's its opposite. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. 1y plus 10 equals 10. Draw a line through the equal sign. Whatever I was adding, I'm now going to subtract. So to undo that, I'm going to subtract 10. Adding and subtracting are opposites. They cancel each other out. I have 1y equals 10 minus 10 is 0. And I got y by itself, so I'm done there. All right, so here I have n over 17 equals 17. Fraction bars, well, first of all, there's no constant. I'm not adding or subtracting a number, so I don't have one of those, so I don't need to worry about it. And then my coefficient is that I'm dividing by 17. Fraction bars mean divide. So the operation I see, what's happening to the n divided by 17, I'm dividing. Okay. The inverse, the opposite of dividing, is multiplying. And yes, you have to rewrite it and you have to draw the lines. You have to draw the circles like I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. N divided by 17 equals 17. I draw a line through it to keep it organized. Then to undo dividing by 17, I'm going to multiply by 17. And I have to do that on both sides. I didn't say that earlier. What you do on one side, you have to do it on the other side because I have to keep it equal. Right? I have to keep that equation balanced. So since I'm multiplying by 17 and dividing by 17, those are opposites and they cancel each other out. So I'm left with 1n on this side. And then 17 times 17 is 289. So your goal is always to get the variable by itself. I always just want to know, what does 1n equal? Or what does 1x equal? Okay? All right, so this one, 0 equals x minus 1/3. When you see ones like this, I want you to rewrite it. Okay? I'm gonna move just like this whole thing to the other side so I can flip-flop them. So all I'm doing is x minus 1/3 equals 0. Okay? So I like the variables to be on the left. That makes us happy. It keeps our thoughts organized. So I find my variable x. And I see that I'm subtracting 1/3. So the operation I see is subtracting. The opposite of subtracting is adding. So I'm going to do its inverse. I'm going to add to solve. Draw a line through the equal sign. That's just to keep it organized. Yes, you need to do it. Okay. So my constant is minus 1/3. To undo minus 1/3, I'm going to do plus 1/3. What I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other side. I can't just get rid of things. You have to keep it balanced. Okay. Minus 1/3 and plus 1/3, those are opposites, so they cancel each other out. Then I'm just left with an x. And then 0 plus anything is itself. So 0 plus 1/3 is just 1/3. Okay. So I achieved my goal of getting x by itself. So I've solved that equation. All right, I'm almost done. All right, so these next ones, you're gonna do the same process, but by yourself. Okay, and I'll do this first one with you because we haven't done one of these. Okay, so it says 15x equals 15. So we circle our constant and we box our coefficient. I don't have a constant on the side of the variable. Okay, so we always think about the side of the variable. There's nothing being added or subtracted to that. There's no constant. But my coefficient is 15. So I'm going to box my coefficient. And the coefficient is the number that's multiplying the variable. So this means 15 times x. That means our operation is multiplying. The opposite of multiplying from our notes on the other page is dividing. So to undo 15 times x, I'm going to divide by x. So down here, I just rewrite my equation so I have room. Draw a line through the equal sign to keep your thoughts organized. Okay, to undo multiplication, we're going to divide by 15. What I do on this side of the variable, I have to do on the other side. 15 divided by 15 is 1. So this is 1x. 15 divided by 15 is 1. So x equals 1. I achieved my goal of getting the variable by itself and the numbers on the other side. So we just have 1x, and then what equals is on the other side. All right, so that's a freebie. You got the rest on your own. Just like go through the steps, draw it like I drew it, be super duper meticulous, and think about each step.